I did not give a warning.
Okay.
We're gonna gas.
A lot of people are not liking this guy.
Get out of the way. Get out of the road. Out of the road now.
They're in Target and they're just, I guess, searching for illegals. The Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizure by demanding identification from U.S. citizens.
There may be individuals surrounding that criminal that we may be asking who they are and why they're there and having them validate their identity.
Hey, you guys American citizens?
Huh? None of your business. That's what.
Yeah, Minnesota State Capitol.
ICE detaining American citizens and those with work permits.
He did what he had to do to ensure that his life.
Tackled this man to the ground and arrested him, right?
No.
Don't protest.
As a combat veteran, I'm having a hard time seeing the difference between ICE and ISIS.
I don't ever really see you get upset. This kind of has me thrown, darling.
It should concern us all.
We have so much to go over today, my goodness. I have some notes to the side, but people are comparing ICE and the commander of the U.S. Border Control, Gregory Bovino, to the Schutzstaffel, if I pronounced that right, Schutzstaffel, the SS of the German Nazis, because of the police force, police brutality, the fascism involved with that. Other people are saying brown shirts, which is another wing of the German police and just the fascist state of Germany. But I actually think a better representation are the black shirts of Mussolini's Italy, because our government would have to be anti-Semitic to be a part or representative of Nazi Germany. They're not anti-Semitic, quote, anti-Semitic. As we know that Trump loves the Jews and supports the Jews and gives them over $3 billion a year directly from our taxpayer dollars. So they're not anti-Semitic, quote, anti-Semitic, our government. So it's actually more closely representative of the Mussolini's Italy fascists, the black shirts. But for sake of people knowing more of what Nazi Germany is, they're using the same tactics. But it is more representative of fascist Italy in the black shirts. With that being said, the fashion choice of Gregory Bovino, the commander of the U.S. Border Control, and is leading the operations of ICE as well, it does absolutely remind me of Nazi Germany. And this is the SS uniform, basically very similar to the SS uniform, the Schutzstaffel in Germany, which is the literal protection squadron of Nazis Hitler. I mean, yeah, it's dead on. Somebody, obviously, they added in the swastika and everything. But I mean, it's actually a tough outfit. I like how it looks. It looks amazing. But their tactics, yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, that's pretty dope. But a lot of people are not liking this guy and they're calling him short man syndrome. You know, if he didn't abuse force and brutality, then you could be short and be amazing. I'm short and I'm amazing. Praise God. But if you're short and you abuse power in any type of way, you get labeled, you get attacked for your height extremely. Even if you're not mean, you still get attacked for your height. But especially if you abuse power, you definitely get attacked for your height. And he is quite rigorously. And then we have some other pictures here. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. Like, not everybody who makes that symbol is saluting and saying Hail Hitler. Not everybody who's making that symbol is doing that. Why did it just freeze on the screen? And then we have another video right here.
Get the f out of here. Get the f out. Nobody wants you here. Right. Get the f out. Walk the f out, you stupid. Get the f out of here. You dumb. The f out of here. You f***ing coward. You're a f***ing coward. You're a Hold on, baby. I'm on the phone with you ass nigga. Get the f out of here. Here, you stupid. You're a
So people don't like this guy. As you can tell, it's so much cussing. I'm going to have a fun time editing this because it's a lot of cussing I got to bleep out. I forgot about this in the part of the video. But yeah, they're in Target and they're just, I guess, searching for illegals. But to sum it up, they are violating constitutional rights. A lot of people say, well, what are the left doing? The liberal left, the crazy liberal left, they're doing bad things. And I agree with that. They're protesting. A lot of them are protesting violently. They got some bad things about what they do. But, and I'm neither identifying as fully on the right or fully on the left now. I don't like this whole political divide because there are wrong points on both sides. But to make a point, sometimes the left are right in why they are protesting. Their means are not always correct, but they are protesting here for valid reasons. because our constitutional rights and freedoms as Americans are being encroached upon and violated. In summary, this is what's being violated. The Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizure by demanding identification from U.S. citizens. Can't do that. Demanding identification in terms of like your citizenship. They're demanding the papers, basically like Nazi Germany. Yeah. Let me see your papers from U.S. citizens now. Now, if you're not a U.S. citizen and you just don't have any right to be here to do what you're doing, yes, the U.S. law enforcement can demand these identifications. But if you are a U.S. citizen, nobody can demand identification for your citizenship because you are a U.S. citizen. Like, what are we supposed to be doing? Carrying around passports? You can't just carry around your ID because the driver's license is not enough. It doesn't show citizenship because even non-U.S. citizens can have a driver's license. So if they apparently can demand the citizenship of U.S. citizens, that means we all need to carry around our passports or something else, another document, birth certificate, whatever. And this is going to be a new law just set in motion. But this is just silly. We never done this before. They're demanding ICE and Gregory Bovino and even, what's the other girl's name? Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem looked like a supermodel who's a bit older. I mean, she's looking younger than she actually is now. She's like 50-something, I think. But I don't know. Maybe she wears a lot of makeup. Who knows? But anyway, she's the director or the secretary of Homeland Security. And they're saying we could demand this paperwork, even from U.S. citizens. And anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, Fourth Amendment, we already went over that. Fifth Amendment, they're violating due process by illegal detaining. So, U.S. citizens are being detained. This is violating Fifth Amendment rights. Without due process, you can't do that. 14th Amendment, equal protection. What they're doing is they're racially profiling people who look foreign. People who look foreign. Oh, this person looks Hispanic. They sound Hispanic. They have an accent. And they're detaining them and asking for papers just because of racial profiling. This is violating amendments. And they're going against U.S. citizens with this. If they never touched a U.S. citizen, it would be different. But they're making mistakes and violating the rights of U.S. citizens. And yes, U.S. citizens can have Hispanic accents. There's something called being born in America. If you're born on U.S. soil, you are automatically a U.S. citizen. And you still may have an accent, and you're definitely going to look Hispanic if you have Hispanic parents from, let's just say, Mexico. And maybe your Mexican parents speak Spanish all the time, but you are born here, you are a U.S. citizen, you're going to have that accent if everybody around you speaks that way. And so they're going based on racial profiling. The First Amendment, right to peacefully assemble, to petition the government. I'm going to show you a video where Gregory Bovino is basically like, he literally said you shouldn't be protesting. You shouldn't be protesting. But this is our First Amendment, right? So they're violating multiple amendments of the U.S. Constitution. ICE, Gregory Bovino, Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, all these institutions are violating our rights and freedoms as American citizens. So here's Kristi Noem, the supermodel-looking leader, secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, which, mind you, was shown to be in Israel on X. Yeah, it gave the location of where the tweet was coming from. Apparently it wasn't Israel.
In every situation, we're doing targeted enforcement. If we are on a target and doing an operation, there may be individuals surrounding that criminal that we may be asking who they are and why they're there and having them validate their identity. That's what we've always done, in asking people who they are so that we know who's in those surroundings. And if they are breaking our federal laws, we will detain them as well until we run that process.
Including U.S. citizens, apparently. Let's play it one more time.
Doing an operation, there may be individuals surrounding that criminal that we may be asking who they are and why they're there and having them validate their identity. That's what we've always done.
It doesn't even matter if that's what you've always done. If it violates the U.S. Constitution, it doesn't make it right, right? And so she's trying to give a justification of why U.S. citizens have been illegally detained, questioned, demanded papers to be given proof of identification of citizenship. This is what she's trying to prove right here. This is what we've always done.
And asking people who they are so that we know who's in those surroundings. And if they are breaking our federal laws, we will detain them as well until we run that process.
Look, I'm all support of the end result. I definitely lean right? I'm conservative. So I'm conservative Christian, Bible-believing American Christian. U.S. constitutional based, though. Constitutional America first. I support the end result of deporting illegal immigrants who are just draining America and the economy and just not contributing to the economy and to the culture. I support that. But the ends do not justify the means here. You cannot violate constitutional rights of Americans to justify the end result of what you want, even if the end result is good. You cannot do bad things and violate rights and freedoms of Americans to achieve the end result that you may desire. And here we have a literal veteran not agreeing with the tactics of ICE and Homeland Security and Gregory Bovino right here. Look at him.
Breaking news, Commander Bovino has taken control of the Minnesota state capitol.
Check out the glee from the fascists who draw Nazi comparisons each and every day.
Y'all, Dave just said something to me that kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that, and I asked if he would repeat it for y'all.
As a combat veteran, I'm having a hard time seeing the difference between ICE and ISIS. ISIS covered their face and publicly executed citizens. ICE is doing the same thing. ICE is operating as a government-sanctioned terrorist organization.
I don't ever really see you get upset. This kind of has me thrown, darling.
It should concern us all.
Bruh, he's like breaking down because he's a veteran. He's a veteran of the U.S. military. And this is legit affecting him emotionally. And I understand it. It's actually sad to see what's happening with America. You know, sometimes I make jokes and I make light of things. I mean, you have to in these times because or else you're going to be depressed. So that's why I have comedic relief and stuff like this. But it's legit sad. It's legit sad.
This combat veteran goes in a different direction, stating they remind him of ISIS.
You doing all right? Huh? I'm not doing all right.
What's that?
I'm not doing all right. I'm not doing all right.
I can't hear
Back
what
up.
you're saying. What's that?
Yo. See that? Look, they're recording. We're here. What y'all doing? Yo, back up.
We good? What's that? We good? Oh, absolutely.
Your face.
Absolutely. Oh, back up. I'm walking here. Back up.
Like that. Good show.
Hey, you guys American citizens?
Huh?
American citizens?
None of your business. That's what.
There's a wall there. All right.
See that? You're blocking traffic. Look at that. Bunch of y'all right there. Every single one of y'all. Look at that.
Just gonna get a pic. Hold on.
What do you see right here, y'all? First impressions. I just see thugs walking around with too much authority, too much power. They don't even know what to do with it.
Go ahead, take a pic right there.
All right, let me get one of this guy here. Right here. Appreciate it.
This is a police state, and those on the right just brain dead. Not even seeing, not even looking beyond the MAGAT cult. Do you see what's happening to your country? A police state. Do you truly, if you are truly America first and you want your freedoms to remain, you do not want to support big government, which is what Trump is supporting, which is what people like Nick Fuentes is supporting. They want the government to have all the power. Make big government. No, you want less government, more freedom for you, more liberty for you. You want the government to have less power. This is making the government bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes a literal police state where the whole nation is going to be governed by a police state, martial law, dystopia. Yes, the stuff in the sci-fi movies, 1984, George Orwell, and all the sci-fi movies when there's just too much control over society and you literally have no freedoms. Everything's watched, you're spied upon by your own government, and it's a police state. Do you want that? No, you don't. True conservatives don't want that. They want small government, not big government police states. Trump is an authoritarian nationalist. He wants big government. He wants to feel like he's wielding a big stick around and have all the power, totalitarianism. We have another video right here with Gregory Bovino again.
People are scared to death about what's going on the streets of Minneapolis.
If they're United States citizens or legal permanent residents or have some type of legal status to be or remain here in the United States, there's no reason to be scared.
What he said makes no sense because this is affecting U.S. citizens. But he's saying if you are a U.S. citizen, you have nothing to fear when this is affecting U.S. citizens. Being illegally detained, questioned, demanded paperwork, validation for their citizenship. Lily being murdered. Renee Good, a U.S. citizen. Wrongly.
However, if they are a criminal alien or an illegal alien, then they should probably be very scared.
Commander Bovino did not address the many reports of ICE detaining American citizens and those with work permits. Bovino says this about the Rene Good fatal shooting.
I feel that that ICE agent was in a very difficult, untenable situation, and he did what he had to do to ensure that his life was saved.
Bovino says his agents have faced more attacks in the Twin Cities than anywhere else in the country, ranging from assaults to taunting. When Bovino and his agents went to use the restrooms at this St. Paul Midway target, they were met with a torrent of cursing and calls to leave.
A lot of unfriendly individuals out there, a lot of violence against ICE and Border Patrols. We're not going to put up with that.
Bovino says despite the protests and political leaders, he's convinced that most Americans and Minnesotans support the ICE actions.
Despite rioters, agitators, and vast amounts of violence against federal officers, we're not going to stop. We're doing this for Mom and Pa America. And we're glad to be here. And for those 90 to 95% of Minnesotans that like us here, we salute you. We respect you and we love you.
Now, while I have not seen any Minnesota polling on this issue, a national YouGov poll out this month says 52% of Americans disagree with the ICE operations. Bovino says there is no end date for this operation, that at this point it is an open-ended mission.
52% of Americans disagree with ICE operations. He's like 92% of Minnesotans agree. Somebody's wrong. And then now we have Gregory Bovino defending the tactics used in Chicago.
We're told several people have been detained, including a student at Benito Juarez High School. Video posted on social media shows that student struggling to get out of the hands of federal agents this morning. Chicago teachers tell us 4 students were on their way to school when they heard about an immigration sweep at the Discount Shopping Center on 27th Street, and they decided to go protest.
This morning at 7:45 in my homeroom class, I marked a junior student absent. Not because that student was sick, not because the student overslept or the bus was late. It was because ICE had snatched him up on his way to school.
The student is a U.S. citizen. City leaders tell us he was released to his family a few hours ago. We've reached out to
a U.S. citizen, y'all. U.S. citizens. But everybody is on the right that's brain dead, just believing what everything Trump says and everything Gregory Bovino says and Kristi Noem says. Oh, these are not U.S. citizens. They don't touch any of them. They're all lying. You can't prove that. Well, no, there's documented U.S. citizens that they are affecting.
To the Department of Homeland Security for a response. We have not heard back.
That same incident in Little Village is also sparking a court filing against Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino, who's accused of throwing tear gas into a crowd without justification, violating a temporary restraining order issued by a federal judge earlier this week. A hearing has now been scheduled for November 5th to determine if the restraining order has been violated. Bovino has also been ordered to undergo a 5-hour deposition. That accusation coming just a few hours after Bovino sat down with CBS News correspondent Nicole Skanga to talk about Border Patrol's mission in Chicago.
She joins us live from the ICE Processing Center in Broadview. Nicole.
Good evening. Chief Bovino, the chief architect of Operation Midway Blitz, told us federal agents have already conducted 2,700 arrests since September 6th. I asked Chief Bovino what percentage of those arrests were against individuals with pending criminal charges or convictions. He told me he didn't know. There have been videos, as you know, of federal agents engaging with protesters at this facility here in Broadview. Some show a wide range of less than lethal force deployment, pepper balls shot into the face of protesters, shooting from an elevation, agents putting individuals in a chokehold. Is that proper use of force?
The use of force that I've seen, Nicole, and I've been here at the Broadview facility during some of those riots in which extremists and others did attack federal law enforcement agents, and the use of force that I've seen has been exemplary. And by exemplary, I would say the least amount of force necessary to accomplish the mission.
You think use of force here at Broadview has been exemplary?
I do.
Firing from elevation is within DHS policy?
It doesn't matter where you fire from. An elevation is not a violation of policy. That is a less lethal device for area saturation. Absolutely.
Aiming above the waist is within policy?
It can be. If someone strays into a pepper ball then that's on them. Don't protest and don't trespass.
When are you mission accomplished?
Okay, did you catch what he said? He said, don't protest. This is the main thing I want to address, because this is our literal right as American citizens to rightfully and legally, peacefully assemble to petition the government. You hear what he said? Don't protest. Don't protest. So I did a little bit of research on what this is. Do American citizens have the right to protest ICE? And if so, how can we do that? So right here, I used Gemini and I just copied and pasted what it said. ICE does not usually say protesting is illegal. Instead, they use a different legal tactic to shut down protests. They claim that protesters are committing obstruction of justice or interfering with a federal officer, which is essentially what they said about Renee Good as well, which some of it is true. I agree, sometimes they do obstruct justice. But did Renee deserve to die? No, absolutely not. We can say that without a shadow of a doubt. Anyways, continuing. The tactic: if the protesters get too close to an ICE van to chant or block a driveway, ICE agents may claim that the protesters are physically preventing them from doing their job, enforcing immigration law. The consequence: this allows them to reclassify a protest to First Amendment, protected as a criminal suspect, arrestable offense. The What? Did Gemini misspell the word human? I don't know. But anyways, recently, officials like Tom Holland, Border, Cesar have warned that they will have zero tolerance for anybody harboring or interfering. This rhetoric is designed to blur the line between protesting a raid and stopping a raid. But look at what has happened. A law has been passed regarding this exact situation. So this is the current reality as of January 2026. Minneapolis ruled just days ago. A federal judge in Minnesota had to issue a restraining order blocking ICE from arresting peaceful protesters. A federal judge in Minnesota issued a literal restraining order towards ICE, blocking ICE from arresting peaceful protesters. What was happening? ICE agents were reportedly arresting people who were merely following ICE vehicles or observing arrests from a distance. The agents claimed this was stalking or obstruction. But what did the court decide? The court of law. The judge ruled that simply following an ICE agent or filming them is protected First Amendment activity and does not constitute a crime. So what Gregory Bovino just said there, they shouldn't be protesting, is a violation and just not understanding our constitutional rights as Americans. And then we have Gregory, Mr. Gregory, lying straight to the camera right here.
But body camera footage we reviewed shows how he acted on the ground in Chicago. This video shows Bovino deploying tear gas at a crowd of protesters, despite being told by one of his own agents it wasn't necessary.
If you need to deploy gas, no, we're deploy gas. We're ready to move out wherever you are.
I did not give a warning.
Okay.
We're going to gas. It looks like we're going to go ahead and gas, okay? Gas deployed, gas deployed.
A federal judge also found Bovino was outright lying at times during the more than 7 hours he testified under oath. That includes when he was questioned about this video, which shows Bovino using physical force against a protester.
You got over the barrier, tackled this man to the ground and arrested him, right?
No.
Did you not tackle him?
No.
Do you acknowledge that you're tackling Mr. Blackburn on this video?
No.
And Bovino continued to defend the conduct of immigration agents on the ground.
Have there been uses of force that have been less than proper?
No, all uses of force have been more than exemplary.
But a federal judge found the Department of Homeland Security's, quote, widespread misrepresentations call into question everything they say they're doing. The Department of Homeland Security did not respond to our request for an interview or our questions about Bovino.
As they probably don't want to, because what do they have to say? They just lying. You saw this direct lie to the face of everybody, the American public, to the person that was doing the questioning and also just to the American public in general. Did you tackle the guy? No. This is what we're dealing with, y'all. It's really, I mean, I see the more connections to Nazi Germany in terms of like the optics, how it looks, the uniform and all that. But really, is America anti-Semitic? The government of America anti-Semitic? Absolutely not. We harbor Israelis here. They have whole villages in New York. Trying to remember the name of the specific village or city that we harbor them in, and they're not messed with. They're welcome in the village, and they're protected, and I think they live off welfare or whatever there. Oh, it's Curious Joel. Curious Joel.
I don't want my kids should play in the house of a secular guy.
This is Curious Joel.
You're a
A village of 44,000 Hasidic Jews in upstate New York that primarily speak Yiddish have an average of 7 kids per family. How many kids do most people have out here?
17, 18.
How do they afford 17, 18 kids? It's one of the poorest towns in America, with 40% living beneath the federal poverty line. Many men here are religiously studying the Torah full-time and heavily rely on public assistance and welfare in the form of Medicaid, housing vouchers, food stamps, and cash aid to support their giant families that God commanded them to have. And the village enforces strict gender roles, modest dress.
Again, I don't want to review this whole. We might do this. We might actually review this full video on another video, because it's absolutely insane how some people think that, we can give them a pass, but any other foreign entities that kind of invade a specific city, we got to just deport them. But, these people, they're welcome. Nothing's wrong with that. And they can just live off American money, taxpayer money, welfare, whatever. They can just basically live for free and support 16 children. What? This is the hypocrisy that I hate about America. I'm starting to just despise the leadership of this country. I love what it was founded upon, y'all, but I might end up moving from the country entirely if this continues to get worse. I don't know. I might. Cost of living is outrageous. I talk about this on another channel that I do about just the cost of living and the economy. The cost of living in America is way too much for what you get. Way too much for what you get. Even if you make 6 figures, $100,000 a year, that's not enough to actually thrive with a family in most U.S. states. You have to be living in a very cheap U.S. state to actually kind of feel comfortable and thrive on 6 figures. Isn't that crazy? That's absolutely insane. But if you have $100,000 per year in, let's say, Thailand, or let's say even better, Vietnam, $100,000, you're a rich man. You are a rich man in Vietnam. Even Thailand's got more expensive, but Vietnam, I was looking into that. That $100,000 American, you can live like a king or queen on that amount of money in Vietnam. But this is all optics of why people are referring to Gregory Bovino as the SS, the Schutzstaffel. Yeah, SS. Let me show you the SS Schutzstaffel, or Protection Squadron, was a major elite paramilitary organization of the Nazi Party in Germany, led by Heinrich Himmler. They're comparing Gregory Bovino to Heinrich Himmler, responsible for enforcing Nazi ideology, personal protection for Hitler, and carrying out horrific atrocities, including that through the various branches like the Waffen-SS and the SS, however you say that. Now, the video I'm about to show you of him walking, this guy's going to continually just say brown shirts, brown shirts, brown. You're about to hear it after I show you the video. This is what it comes from. Brown shirts, or SA, this was before the SS, and I'm going to show you how to pronounce that if you even care, which you probably don't, but it's,
Sturmabteilung.
Sturmabteilung. Yeah, the Sturmabteilung were the Nazi Party's original parliamentary wing, known for their brown uniforms, intimidation tactics, street brawls against political opponents, and role in Hitler's rise to power. But their power was curtailed after 1934, where their leader Ernest Röhm and others were purged, leading to the SS. So the SS, the Schutzstaffel, is what came in after the brown shirts, the Sturmabteilung, becoming the dominant force. So now you're going to hear this guy just say brown shirts.
Get out of the way. Out of the road. Out of the road now. Hey, jump that photo. Jump that photo. You're all f***ing pretend. Coward chicken.
I like this guy. So you heard that guy, brown shirts. He's referring to the SA wing of Nazi Germany before the SS was installed. But I think the SS is better. And even above the SS, I think going, again, as I said earlier in the video, the Italian black shirts under Mussolini, because America is not, quote, anti-Semitic, as we already went over. So they got the look of Nazi Germany, but they are more so operating like fascist Italy. You see, they're referring to Gregory Bovino as the Schutzstaffel. It should come as no surprise that Gregory Bovino is now sporting a great coat, or as the Nazis called it, the Übermantel. Honestly, their uniforms, on point. On point. I mean, I love their uniforms. It just looks good. Their uniforms that they wore. Here we go, another comparison. I don't really like this uniform, but there's some other ones I liked that look better. Anyways, to the end part of this video, I want to describe why the Mussolini's fascist wing better describes what they're doing than Nazi Germany. So I actually asked Gemini, why is everybody calling them Nazis when America is not anti-Semitic? So scrolling down, the tactics versus targets. The primary reason for the Gestapo comparison is methodology, not ideology. Critics argue that ICE uses the same tactics as the Gestapo, used to police the population, even the target group is different immigrants instead of Jews. The Gestapo analogy, the Gestapo was the secret state police, which people called ICE. The Gestapo, they're highlighting the specific police state behavior, such as raids on private homes and workplaces. This is all happening today in America, unfortunately. Demanding papers to prove the right to exist in a space, separating families and detaining children, operating with perceived impunity or lack of due process, all happening in America. This is sick. The argument that a government agency acting above the law to round up a specific minority group is Gestapo-like behavior regardless of which minority group is being targeted. Ethno-nationalism. While the U.S. supports Israel abroad, critics argue that the rhetoric used to justify ICE actions at home mirrors the ethno-nationalist logic of the Nazi Party. Blood and soil. Nazi ideology was built on the idea of protecting the homeland from invaders who were accused of poisoning the blood of the nation or stealing jobs. So then I asked it to describe fascism, like what is that exactly? Because I hear a lot on the left criticize the right as being fascist, which makes sense once I learned more about what that actually is. What is fascism? Historians and political scientists such as Robert Paxson and Umberto Eco define fascism not by who it hates, but by how it governs. It is authoritarian, ultra-nationalist system that uses force to suppress opposition and regiment society. Extreme nationalism, the belief that the nation is a living organism and individual rights are secondary to national strength. Very important point here, because this is the whole thing behind what they're doing. They're putting the nation above the individual rights of U.S. citizens by violating our constitutional rights. This is exactly what they're doing. So when the left describes in protest and just calls somebody a fascist on the right, or the leaders of the government on the right, they're actually right. And I used to be, thinking all of them were crazy on the liberal left, and some of them definitely are. Some of them definitely are crazy and just too much. But they do have a point sometimes, okay? And actually, this is a good way to describe what is happening in our country right now by Trump and just leaders of our current government right now who are advocating for what's happening. They are fascists. Identification of enemies/scapegoats. Unifying the populace by blaming a specific group, often a minority or outsider, for the nation's problems, which is partially what has been done. Yeah. But they're blaming the wrong people for the most part. They're blaming the wrong people for the most part. I know who the group of people are that should be blamed, which is actually a foreign nation that is controlling our government. Again, it's a foreign nation that's controlling our government. Those are the most people to blame. And actually, it's treason what's happening. This couldn't happen if America didn't agree with it. And America has been agreeing with it. Trump is in agreements with it, probably because he's blackmailed, probably because the Epstein files. We should be deporting the same people that was in that city that I showed you earlier. We should be deporting them and kicking them out of the country and kicking them out the influence of the U.S. government. And then using constitutional violations to spy on U.S. citizens, disdain for human rights, viewing due process and civil liberties as obstacles to national safety. This is all what America is currently doing in 2026. Everything right here, everything. So yes, by these definitions, by this explanation, they are fascists. our government is fascist. So it says a distinction, fascism versus anti-Semitism. Nazism was uniquely obsessed with the racial hierarchy and the destruction of Jewish people. Fascism is a destruction of power. Mussolini's Italy, the birthplace of fascism, did not initially have the racial anti-Semitism of Hitler's Germany. It was focused on the glory of the Italian state. So this is what is more representative of America. This is focusing on the glory of the American state, the American nation. But again, it's compromised. So it's really all a mix of just bad stuff. How else should I put it? Trump is at least saying to make America great again, basically focusing on the glory of the former glory of what America was, while being compromised by a foreign entity controlling and serving the interests of this foreign nation, which is Israel. So it's all a lie. What we're really doing is being a fascist for Israel, because this is the United States of Israel. And then I said, so instead of referring to the ICE as Gestapo, is there a better analogy that was used in fascist Italy under Mussolini? So they said, if you are looking for a historical analogy that describes fascist enforcement without the specific baggage of Nazi anti-Semitism, the most accurate parallel for Mussolini's Italy is the black shirts. So essentially the black shirts are state-based but not race-based. In fascist Italy, it wasn't about race like it was in Nazi Germany. While the Gestapo was a secret police, the black shirts were a paramilitary wing of the fascist party. They were the enforcers on the street, which is what you are seeing ICE doing, which is what you are seeing Gregory Bovino doing. It says Nazi logic is, we must purge the Jews because they pollute our blood. The black shirt logic, we must purge anybody who is not 100% loyal to the Italian state. Now compare that to America. This is closer to America. We must purge anyone who is not 100% loyal to, really, the Israeli state. Trump will say it's the American state. People who don't know what's really going on will say it's the American state. But no, it's really the Israeli state. So it doesn't really matter who you are. You can be white, as you saw with Renee Good. It doesn't matter who. Anybody who's not loyal to what they want you to be loyal to, you are eventually going to be purged out of the system. Or that's what they want. They don't have the means to do it right now, but this is what they actually want. And they're going to do it through different methods. You know, they may not do it by physically deporting you out the country or detaining you, because it's not completely there yet. It's not a complete police state yet. But this is what they want to work towards. They'll try to ruin you in other ways, such as on social media. If you're trying to grow a following, have any kind of following on social media, and you speak against what they don't want you to speak out against, they will flag your account, potentially demonetize your video, or just delete your channel entirely. It is not a complete police state yet, but they can try to get you in other ways. That's not a total invasion in your physical reality. Definitely online, definitely through technology. So this is what they want. This is what they're working towards. And it's just egregious. It's an encroachment and a violation of American liberty and rights and freedoms and just human rights in general. This is what they're doing. Hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. May the Lord keep you. May he bless you. May he shine his face upon you always and give you peace. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, amen. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you shall be saved.